This four-part series, Host of Many, is a good way to help you think about welcoming people from other languages, other cultures into your home or school or neighborhood for maybe even just a meal or for a game or for a semester or two. And maybe you'll start thinking about going to another region of this country or of another country and being a guest there as a student or in some other way. Rob doesn't tell the story in this interview, but he and his wife Mary Beth had a 16-year-old boy from Thailand living with them for a while, and the Eberweins lived in an older home, and so it had noises in it, and at night noises start to matter, but in the daytime you might not even pay attention to them. Well, the 16-year-old boy said to them, "Those noises, they make me wonder if there's a ghost living here." The thing that Rob and Mary Beth thought about was, how many 16-year-olds do they know in the United States who would talk that way? In other words, unashamed, talk about, they think maybe there's a ghost living here, and that's kind of inconvenient. It's just an interesting difference that made life for them more interesting as they welcomed people into their own home. And that's what you can be a part of, whether it's for a meal or a day or a whole year. This is going to be done in the Max and Max radio format because everybody doesn't want to be on video. And sometimes you can't put a video camera wherever you're interviewing the person. You can find something else to do as you listen to this, and maybe you can clean out a desk or draw. Buenos dias. Today we have a taste of Terre Haute. I'm talking with Rob Eberwein, who has... How many international students have you had in your home, people who have actually stayed with you for a while, and how long did they stay?
We figured 10, and that is anything from a week to, in one case, a student stayed with us for 2 whole school years.
So 10, and from which countries?
Various Asian countries for the Chinese students, which would include Hong Kong, Singapore, China, some of the Middle Eastern countries such as Saudi Arabia and Yemen, the Dominican Republic.
That's it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And but I would say besides that, we've had close extended friendships with a Lithuanian couple, with a Filipino couple, an Iranian guy, a priest from India.
And how old were these people who lived in your house, and what were they doing there?
They would range from still teenage, late teenage, the ones who were in college, all the way up to people in their 30s, and here for studies. Pretty much that was all here for studies, yeah.
But these were one at a time, if I understand you right.
Yes.
And the first student stayed for how long with you, and was from where?
This would be Jingping from China, and she stayed for 2 full school years.
What kind of differences did you notice? I was talking to a banker who had spent 2 years in Singapore, and I asked him how he liked it. Well, he liked it, but he says they can't do anything unless they're told what to do. He said if they're driving to work and they see that the road they normally take is blocked off, but that they could go up one road and turn around and get to their workplace, he said they won't do it. He said they'll drive on for another 2 miles until they can find a regular way to take it because they're following the traffic rules real clearly that way. They don't figure things out on their own, he said. He said it drove him crazy for 2 years there. He said the Singaporeans had to be told exactly what to do if you wanted them to do anything. At least that's what he found out in his banking business. What did you find out? I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, this was a bank president.
It's true that there's less independence, more decisions by committee. Meetings for them can take an extremely long time as they talk and talk and talk and finally coming to some kind of consensus.
Let's talk about your student, your Spanish-speaking student from La República Dominicana in the Caribbean. It's half of an island, right? And the other half is Haiti. This person's attitude was probably a lot different, right?
Oh yeah, very very open, and had very good English, which of course helped. But even aside from that, just a very open, freewheeling sort of person, you know.
Did you enjoy the guy from the Dominican Republic as much as you did the many other students that you had from other countries?
That says it, as much as that we had learned by that time. We'd had so many Chinese contacts that we'd learned to love the Chinese people and to just accept and enjoy them as they are and not expect them to be more like Americans. The guy from the Dominican Republic was more like Americans, and that was great too.
Did you find that the people from different countries were very different from each other?
Oh yeah, tremendously. You know, you could see the difference. I realized we didn't have any of these in our home, but we've also had contacts with Africans, for example. I could see the big difference with the Africans, who also were more open and were more likely to make jokes and to joke with you, to introduce a joke to you, which we almost never saw from the Chinese.
So the Chinese were not funny people.
Maybe they were funny with each other in Chinese. I never found out, but they were not funny with me. Very very seldom.
Rob, do you think it's possible to tell what country someone is from with the experience that you have if you were talking to them, let's say, on a phone?
To some extent, particularly with the Chinese, we were learning to tell, you know, that it was all Chinese in this big group that we were involved with, and yet some were from Taiwan, some from Malaysia, and so forth. And we got to the point where we could tell by their command of English, and never mind about the phone, but if we could see them by the way they dressed, we could take a pretty fair guess as to where they were from. If they dressed like Americans, probably Singapore. If they wore white socks, for example, then it was probably Taiwan. We had a good time playing the guessing game and getting better and better at it over the years of telling where they were from.
Rob, I know that your first student, Jingping, was quite a cook, you said, and she was pretty good at splashing grease all over the kitchen and left quite a lot of greasy spots on the kitchen walls when she left, and you never complained about it. But what was it like being around her when she was cooking, and what about anything you have to say about doing dishes?
Okay, well, you know, as far as the grease is concerned, you don't complain when you're getting gourmet-style Northern Chinese meals twice a week. It was wonderful. We just never said a word about the grease. But then as far as the dishwashing, we did say a word about that because their idea is to use cold water and not much soap, and you just pretty much not what we would even call washing. And when we explained to Jingping what we would do involving the soap on the one side and then the hot water for rinsing on the other side, she said, "Oh, that is so scientific." As if we were just going too far with this dishwashing stuff. Water was enough, you know.
This was an engineer you're talking about.
Yes, an engineer, but this is the way she had been raised.
Were the dishes clean when she got done washing them?
Well, not by our standards, but certainly by hers.
Did the people who came to your house and stayed with you, lived with you, did they have different eating habits, or they ate different times of the day? Was that hard to adjust to for them and for you all?
Well, they would tend to just be with us a lot of the times for an evening meal, or maybe they wouldn't even show up for that because sometimes they were out with their friends and studying and so forth. And it would reach the point sometimes where they were so much with their friends that they were just using our house for a place to sleep. They would start out talking with us, and then they would sort of get off of that, and they wouldn't have much time to spend with us. So that didn't always happen, but it was kind of a low point when we reached that point with the student.
So it was a disappointment, is that what you mean?
Yes, it could be a disappointment. It didn't always happen, but you would have them be wanting to talk to you at first, and then be wanting to spend more time with their friends later on.
I guess that sounds pretty normal. I mean, most kids want to get away from their parents, and in a way you were much older than them. You were probably kind of like a parent in a way, am I right?
Yeah, that's right. And we were just dealing with the usual kind of thing that parents complain about in the United States. Well, I never see them, you know.